Donnie and Kamala. Let me tell you, there's been a lot going on. Kamala Harris, since taking over for the Democrats, has dominated the airwaves and the media for several weeks now. And I know that it is driving Donnie purely crazy. Well, what I love about her campaign is that when she came out, she was very strategic about how she was going to move. Everybody said she needed to do interviews. Even I said she needed to do interviews. She needed to do interviews. And I said she needs to do interviews with the culture. And she's been doing it. So I have to be fair and give Kamala credit where credit is due. But it's also interesting that no matter what she does, it's never enough. So part of me is thinking, is it because she's a woman? Because I think there's a lot to do with that. Is it because she's a black woman? Because all y'all want to protect black women until it came to this black woman. But, well, she ain't black. Well, she just found out she black. That's what he said. You've been allowing him to attack a black woman right in your face, and it's been okay because it's the vice president. I'm confused what we stand on these days, but then again, so are a lot of you. Kamala has done everything she's supposed to do with what she was given, and she's been doing it extremely well. And there's obviously no other choice in this campaign or in this competition than Kamala Harris. I mean, I have my issues with Kamala's administration, not necessarily with her, but her administration. But I'm not dumb to say that I think that this is literally the beacon of hope when it comes to preserving democracy. And I'll share with you why, okay? Because we're only 3 weeks away from the 2024 presidential election. And while Kamala Harris is, out here on the campaign trail doing her thing, she's on her mission to acquire a lot of the swing voters. Now, Donald Trump is starting to unravel right before our eyes, with some even speculating that he's showing signs of dementia. Imagine that. Or accelerating cognitive decline. It's interesting when the shoe's on the other foot that the rules don't apply. The same way he wanted to have Joe Biden examined, he's refusing to release his medical records. And now that he's the oldest candidate in the fight, he don't want to have the same conversation he was having before. It's the whole bait and switch thing. But, some of y'all only care about the STEMI. We're going to get to that. Now, if you don't believe me, let's take a look at some of the recent events that we've seen over the last week. Now, at his rally in Detroit, Michigan, Trump told Detroit voters that if Harris is elected president, she'll turn our country into Detroit. Don't believe me? Listen.
They should be much higher than that, but that's up for whoever is going to be the next president. I think Kamala, it's not going to be high on her list. I don't think anything that we're talking about today is high on her list. The whole country is going to be like, you want to know the truth? It'll be like Detroit. Our whole country will end up being like Detroit if she's your president. You're going to have a mess on your hands. She destroyed San Francisco. She destroyed, along with Newsom, California. And we're not going to let her do that to this country. We're not going to let it happen.
Kamala hasn't been in San Francisco in years, just so we're clear. When she was a senator, yes, but as the vice president, she hasn't been there in the last 4 years. She hasn't been the DA of San Francisco in years, or the attorney general for California, but, of course, just blame her. What happened to San Francisco when you were the president? Because he was just the president 4 years ago, but we'll get to that too. It's interesting how he could be in Michigan and just disrespect Detroit right in your face. Because if you're a Californian, right? LA, Stockton, wherever you're from, we are California. Yeah, we represent our state. So it's, the fact that he is disrespecting Detroit is pretty interesting. Social media then said that Dementia Don struck again when he forgot Election Day and urged his supporters at a Pennsylvania rally to vote for him on January 5th. Don't believe me? Listen.
If everything works out, if everybody gets out and votes on January 5th or before, it used to be you'd have a date. Today you can vote 2 months before, probably 3 months after. They don't know what the hell they're doing. But we're going to straighten it all out. We're going to straighten that out, too. We're going to straighten our election process out, too. That's going to be important also.
He's going to straighten it out because he's going to turn it into a... what you call
dictatorship.
That? A dictatorship. Well, who needs an election? It's too complicated. And if these examples weren't loud enough, perhaps Trump standing and swaying the music for over 40 minutes straight might make you wonder, what's up with Donnie? Even the vice president said that she hopes he's okay. I'm going to show you a little 28-second clip of him swaying, because if we go any longer, not only will we burn brain cells, but we'll probably lose our YouTube page. Take a look.
Sir, do you want to play your song and then greet a few people, or do you want to? Well, you had said you wanted to close with a specific song.
Can you imagine you're getting hit from the back and that's behind you? Ouch. Well, Trump is losing his grip on the election. Now, the Apprentice alum Omarosa even denounced him. You know, she was the White House leader for Black Americans or something like that. Well, she officially endorsed Kamala Harris. Not that any of you care. Here's what she told Variety. Basically, anyone observing Donald Trump and even taking a moment to compare from 2016 and now, what becomes apparent and what's happening with Donald is that he has limited vocabulary, he rambles, and he tends to pull things out of nowhere. Well, we know that, Omarosa. In an interview with the Bustin' It With the Boys, Trump was busting it open when he was asked if he ever played sports. He responded, but seemingly used a racist comment while doing so. Take a listen.
Football too. I didn't particularly like it.
What position were you?
No, I didn't like it. I played tight end.
Yeah. Can block,
And I
can
didn't
catch
like,
the whole thing.
You had some hands?
We got Delaney Walker
I
behind.
could catch the ball good, but I didn't particularly like having some guy that was lifting weights all day long and came from a bad neighborhood.
Yeah.
And he sees me and they were tackling hard.
He be playing right in y'all faces, but what do I know? Now, while Donald Trump is out here playing in black folks' faces, like I said, Vice President Kamala Harris is trying to empower black voters, and former President Barack Obama is helping her do so. Ahead of a rally in Pittsburgh, Obama issued a PSA to black men on the fence. Now, I ain't gonna lie, Obama, they had a lot to say about your comments too, but I'm gonna let you hear it. Take a listen.
Part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president. And you're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that. And so now you're thinking about sitting out or even supporting somebody who has a history of denigrating you because you think that's a sign of strength, because that's what being a man is? Putting women down? That's not acceptable.
Well, I hear it, and people felt that what Obama said was that, you know, if you're a black man, and you're basically shaming black men if they vote for Donald Trump. It's similar to when Obama said on the Breakfast Club with Charlemagne that if you vote for Trump, you ain't black. You know, you can't shame us into supporting this idea of democracy when people don't feel like they're not being heard. And also when people can't afford to feed their families or pay for their rent, and homelessness is crazy and crime is rampant and kids are still getting killed in schools. Like, none of the people that I know, younger folks, you know, in their early 20s or early 30s, believe that government is even working anymore. You know, we live in a very wicked world right now, and a lot of us are frustrated. Now, I am somebody 47 years old. I voted many years, and I'm running for office, and I understand the importance of being involved in the political process. Rob does. I'm sure Marina does. But, you know, that doesn't mean we didn't have to get shamed to get here. And it doesn't mean that you shaming people is going to get them there. I think we have to continue to educate, use our relationships to make sure we're moving the people, that we take the hope that you built, Obama, back in 2008 and continue to restore that here. I think Kamala did a great deal of that when she stepped into this role as the candidate now. I will say her campaign in many ways has now flattened and is not real. The momentum isn't building anymore. I think she's done a great job of getting right up there with them, and now they are neck and neck. And so, you know, we'll be able to see it. When you hear Obama, you know, basically shaming folks or trying to guilt folks into deciding that she's the only option, good thing or bad thing?
For this instance, it's a bad thing, because what he's saying, I believe it's true, but it's just the delivery. You can't say that. Like you said, it has to go back to education, because if you look at the history of what Trump has said consistently over the past 2 years, it doesn't make sense to me that anybody who is African American or Hispanic would be willing to put this person in a position of power to control their future. So I think what he's saying is true, but it's just the delivery has to be corrected. You can't say that. Like, you can't shame people into making a choice, but educate them on the facts of what could happen if this person gets into office. That would be advantageous for them to vote for the other person.
I don't even think y'all remember how brutal this administration was. I mean, yes, a lot of us did well financially, and I'll say that I did extremely well financially under the Trump administration, but he inherited a really strong economy before him with Obama. And then remember, we were locked in our houses like prisoners for at least a year during COVID, by the way, which he contributed to the expansion of COVID in America. And yeah, we weren't spending money traveling. We weren't buying clothes. We weren't eating out. We weren't going to clubs popping bottles. We were at home, locked in our houses, threatened to go to jail if we went outside unless we were going to the store or work. Some of our jobs, we lost them. Some businesses went away. Family members, like my sister, died in the middle of a pandemic. Like, I think we forgot him throwing paper towels to Puerto Ricans in the midst of a hurricane. That's what Obama was feeling when he was saying what he was saying. He was feeling all of that. Because think about this. Say you go to a job, you do a great job in your role, and you hand it off to somebody to take it, and they just destroy it. Of course, you're going to feel frustrated with the idea that they would come and get the job back after they've been fired. America fired Donald Trump. Remember when Kamala told him, you remember that? She's such a black woman. Well, anyway, I love it. Well, some people received the Obama comments well, like Rob and I did. And some of y'all didn't, like Antonio Brown. Of course, he had a lot to say. This is what he said. Telling another black man to vote for someone because they know what being black is a slap in the face to black people. I came out the mud, homeless for 6 months. Six round pick to one of the greatest ever. I'm still voting Trump because that's the best for everyone, not no agenda. And we all know that mental health is real and that Antonio Brown, allegedly suffers from stuff that would question whether or not we should listen to him. When people like Antonio Brown say stuff like that, is that just democracy or is that just being an idiot?
I want to say it's mental health at its best, because if you can stand there and support a person who said they want to bring back stop and frisk, they want to give police immunity from prosecution, they want to put all of these things back in place that were detrimental to black and brown people specifically, you have to be crazy.
I feel like there should be a list of people that should not have Twitter accounts, and AB has always been posting crazy stuff, and Elon, even though he owns it, there needs to be some restrictions put.
Well, I mean, social media, crazy people are not, crazy people are everywhere. Crazy people are going to vote. Smart people are going to vote. The best part about democracy is that everybody gets a voice, but that also makes it the most challenging because some voices should just like be quiet. I know that Antonio's not the only person that feels that way. And that's the part that I'm trying to reconcile with, because when you look at the last 4 years, even though I know we have all been feeling the struggle of, inflation and the economy and all that, because even people with money feel it, because the money is money, right? And cost is still a cost. But I think this is less about whether you like him or you like her. It's more about who do you think is going to be the preservation of democracy as we know it in the country. Now, women who have lost their right to control their bodies when it comes to abortion or whether they keep a child or not, they're starting to feel it. What happens when it comes down to us, our votes or whatever, or, other freedoms that we've just become accustomed to? Are you willing to risk all of that just to spite her? Because not voting for her doesn't necessarily just hurt her. It hurts everybody. That's my opinion. Now, weeks before Obama's PSA, Slim Thug backed Harris as she's black and best for blacks. This is what he said.
Why is you black not represent for the black woman? Like, I can understand white people vote for Trump or any other race. You know what I'm saying? I can understand other races vote for Trump because they on some real. I'm going to vote for Kamala strictly because she black. I don't even know her motherfucking policies. I'm not finna not vote for the black lady, though. I don't know what type of people y'all is. I'm voting for the black woman, kid. It shouldn't even be nothing to think about. Oh, man, she's gonna take her gun. She not black. Stop the cap, man. Kamala is black, kid. She a ski-wee chick. Stop the cap, man. You already know she ski-wee. Shut the... Y'all sound like some conspiracy theory. She locked boys up. Trump just said on TV he's gonna give police free range on you dumbass niggas. Free range on you dumbass niggas. He said it. It's part of his policy. Hey, man, whatever the police want to do, they can do it. You dumbass niggas. And y'all just geeked up. She married a white. I don't care about who she married. She a black woman. If Trump win, I'm going to probably save on taxes. I'm going to probably win if Trump win. Right? But I don't vote for me. I vote for the people who put me here. And y'all still say I'm crazy. I don't know what the fuck I can do. Like, what? You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to think long term at my own pace, man. You got to go ahead and Slim. Martin Luther King gonna be there, man. He gonna say, "Damn, you voted for the white dude, white reality star over the black lady, thug. I thought you was real. You was black on your whole career. You did your albums black on. I'm gonna salute you for that. I gotta see these people, man. Listen, bro, I'm thinking forever, man. I'm not giving it up. I don't, and like I say, if he did something I really love, I would say, man, you know what? I love it, man. You know, maybe I have to, maybe it'll be like, yeah, maybe I'll be in a sports game. Like, I don't know, it's kind of close. Like, if I really felt like he did something amazing, I don't think he did nothing but fuck shit up. That's my personal opinion. I didn't get the PPP loan. I didn't get the relief. Black dude on here talking about Trump 2024. Y'all ain't gonna get me in this political fight, though. But even you, my brother, vote for whoever you want to vote. Don't let these people put you in a political gangbang. You on here banging on me, talking about Trump 2024, bro. Like, Trump ain't even pay you for that, bro. Like, what is you on here gangbanging with me about president who don't give a damn about you? I ain't never met a president that gave a damn about me. So I don't give a damn about who the president is. But I will vote for the black woman. I will vote for the woman who went to Howard and AKA. I will not pass up the opportunity.
There's a lot of black people that feel that way. I don't think you should shame black people into voting just black, even though I don't disagree with them. But but I'm in an election right now in my own city where, you know, race keeps coming up about who was black and this is black. Listen, Rob will tell you, when I started Hollywood Unlocked, I was big on everybody got to be black. And there were a lot of black folks who played around and didn't work as hard or didn't feel they didn't feel indebted to really, working with the same ambition that I had or that he has. And, you know, over time, we have replaced some with people who, well, we've replaced some with people who are not black, but we weren't looking at skin color or race or culture or all that. We look for the best. We want the best people to be on our team. And I think that when you're talking about government or any job, you should want to have the best, but we got to level the playing field. And we know that in this world today, especially like when you look at what's happening here, the playing field ain't leveled, and we're being harder on her simply because she's black and because she's a woman. So to his point, you know, while I may not say we should be shaming everybody just to, vote the color line, I mean, in this instance, I don't see where we would benefit voting orange. So, Kamala also unveiled a new list of policies called the Opportunity Agenda for Black Men. Now, it sounds like an opportunity because it just came out of nowhere. I feel like we're in the middle of like who can market what the best, because am I right? Doesn't it seem like so they poll and see black men are not polling well, so now here's the black men polling agenda. How does this work?
Yeah, of course they're looking at the areas where they have opportunity. They're both doing it. So on the Trump side as well, they keep releasing all these ideas where they think that they could, pull in voters from undecided communities. So of course,
what's his undecided community?
Well, he's just trying to get anybody.
Yeah, I'm like,
who is he trying to appeal to?
yeah.
Specifically black men, because he feels like
they're the most vulnerable.
He knows he has room there because the conversation is black men are pulling away from Kamala Harris. So now he's targeting black men. So of course, like he's going to put out things that he thinks he can do as well. But of course, I don't think he outlines anything very clearly.
Well, in this opportunity agenda for black men, Kamala says that Trump spent years making black men's lives harder. Take a look. She listed all the errors of what Trump did to make y'all lives a lot harder. Okay. If you look right here, and she talks about the Project 2025 agenda, did y'all even go look that up? You can chat GBT it. It's right there at your fingertips. And then she said Donald Trump and his Project 2025 agenda would increase drug costs and rip away access to insurance. We all know Hollywood Unlocked has healthcare unlocked. That'll be ripped right away. And then you can go on and see what she's talking about, rolling back the civil rights, all the rights that none of y'all really use anyway because you're just too busy smoking vapes and TikTok. Do people just not Google? Have you Googled them, or do you already know who you're going to vote for?
Oh, I already know who I'm going to vote for, but I don't even Google anything. I see everything on TikTok. But even that's dangerous because it's just clipped and it's not even like real news. So
Yeah, it's a simple Google search, and the man said he wants to cancel the Constitution. The Constitution is full of amendments that allowed rights for black people to be active. So, I mean, all of that would be stripped away. The man said he wants to propose the death penalty for drug dealers. Who is that going to predominantly affect in the short term? It's going to affect black and brown men in underserved communities. So like it's crazy.
See, like in San Joaquin County, in Stockton, where I'm from, where I'm running for office, there's a measure right now, Measure R. The guy that's running for mayor, Tom Patty, has proposed a measure that can allow the government to strip away your public benefits if you test positive for drugs. Well, what happens if you test positive for marijuana? They may take away. So he's selling it like it's discretionary, but we all know what that's going to do. It's going to apply to everybody. And then what happens to the family that loses their benefits? Now they're homeless. Now the kids are in foster care. So, that's all that welfare reform stuff that people have been trying to push for a long time. And I'm not saying that it's a public system, a perfect system, but when you start making measures like these or doing the things that you're saying that Trump wants to do, you do understand that there's a trickle-down effect of what's going to have impact to all of us in the community, right? But again, we ain't Googling. Instead of hurting black men like Trump, Kamala shares at least 5 different initiatives for black men to build wealth, support their families, and lead in their communities. And here's a photo of that. Providing $1 million in loans that are fully forgivable to black entrepreneurs and others to start a business. Championing education, training, and mentorship programs that help black men get good paying jobs in high demand industries and lead their communities, including pathways to becoming teachers. Supporting a regulatory framework for crypto and other digital assets so black men who invest in and own these assets are protected. Launching a national health equity initiative focused on black men that addresses sickle cell disease, diabetes, mental health, prostate cancer, and other health challenges that disproportionately impact them, and legalize recreational marijuana and creating opportunities for black Americans to succeed in this new industry. But is it enough? Because it's almost like saying she wants to make sure to protect riding on the bus and sitting wherever you want, but a lot of us don't ride buses anymore. So like we're only really moved by what is relatable. Right. So black men that don't have sickle cell or don't have a family member they're caring for, they may not care, but you don't know if the kid you're going to have is going to have sickle cell or something like that. Do you think these things are going to connect? Do they connect to your black boyfriend?
No, actually they don't. But he's very anti like politics and like not believing stuff. And I feel like me too. And my family is like, my parents come from communist Yugoslavia, so they're very anti-government, anti-everything. Like, don't believe anything that everybody tells you, which is dangerous because me growing up as a kid, now I feel very disassociated from government stuff because I just think it's all a show.
Wait, you say your man don't do what with politics?
He doesn't like subscribe to like he just doesn't believe in like.
Here's the deal: we all subscribe to it already.
We have to, yeah.
It's sort of like when a celebrity doesn't like Hollywood Unlocked or don't want to come on the show. We already have a relationship.
No,
you just don't participate in it, and that's why when it goes left, y'all send the goons to look for me. Hey, TikTok. So it's like we are subscribed to it.
You have no choice.
Politics in this country has an auto subscription. The minute you're born, politicked. Did your mom pay for it? Was it free?
You have a social security number?
They put the mark of the beast right on you as soon as you come out. So it's true. And they track everything. Right now, we're being tracked. So the point is, You're subscribed to it. So stop with this belief that you don't have to participate if you don't want to. Yeah, that's your choice, but to not participate is literally to just lay down and take whatever happens. You know, I wish there was a way that all of you who don't participate in the political process just had a certain glow around you. That way, when I'm in the community as a city council member and y'all walk in, all the yellows, go over there. Because if you yellow, that means you ain't been participating, not skin color. Please don't use this color thing. I mean, like, if you actually had a color ring around you if you didn't participate, because a lot of people complain but don't get active.
Well, I think people don't participate because we've just been let down by the government so much. And I feel like younger and younger people, they lose hope.
But
I'm just saying what the streets say.
To that point, like it's two very specific glaring conversations right there. One person wants to give the death penalty to people for selling drugs, while the other, and disproportionately black men are incarcerated for marijuana sales. Like, you helped get one out who was spending way too much time in jail for selling weed, and it's now legal in a lot of states. And the other one is trying to give opportunity for black men to make money in that industry. So it's like, it's a very clear contrast to me.
And I think to that point, I got one person out of prison who was in prison first time ever for 8 years for 1 pound of marijuana in a state where it's illegal, versus this state where you'd be an entrepreneur. Like, now he's fighting, this Dante Westmoreland, he's fighting for advocacy of people all over the country. And what she's proposing is to decriminalize it. Because as we know, in 2024, nobody should be in prison for a year, for a month, for marijuana. It's weed. It's not heroin or opioids or cocaine. But we know cocaine's a white people drug, so they're not going to do it anyway. Well, she also promised to lift black men up. No, I'm side-eyeing it because you still ain't lifted up this ad spin over here. But anyway. She also promises to lift black men up and remove barriers often holding them back. Take a look. I'm going to let y'all read this, okay? I'm going to just read the highlights. She's vowing to break down unjust legal barriers that hold black men and other Americans back by legalizing marijuana nationally. She is going to build trust between law enforcement and the communities that they serve. That makes sense. Invest in proven community violence intervention programs. Protect the right to vote. Well, listen, Kamala gets an A+ just for the fact that she came up with a plan. Because all of you who are still voting for Trump, we still haven't heard a real plan. Has he said anything like here? Like, if he had like one of the best economists in the world standing next to him, breaking down his economic plan to where you're going to lower gas prices, get market rate housing, all these different things, then I would be like, okay, he actually has a plan. But he hasn't done that. So why is his marketability? Is he just marketing towards racism, fascism, sexism? Is that misogyny?
Because he's a rich white man in America, and that's all they see. Because again, everybody keeps saying, well, his plan is on his website. And then for her, they're like, well, she doesn't talk about it enough. And now she's talking about her plan. They're like, well, she needs to talk about it in more detail. But he still hasn't talked about a plan at all. Most he said is, I have a concept of a plan.
And imagine that in America, a white man can have privilege in an election while a black woman has to fight hard to overprove herself. Do none of y'all relate to that? I mean, I am extremely successful, making millions of dollars, but I still feel in my own industry very inferior. Not that I walk around with an inferiority complex. I feel like no matter, we create an award show, we have a talk show that's killing everybody that actually is good, and we produce it in-house. You say some of these talk shows have 200 staff. We have 3. Mm-hmm. Well, 2.5. But we've proven ourselves. And where I relate to Kamala, where a lot of you blacks and browns do, is we have to overly prove ourselves when people can be mediocre and just skate right by. Mm-hmm. I literally just had this moment sitting here right now where I'm like, oh, that's America. And this is why we have a chance to prove that we're our better America. Now, a lot of you don't understand my criticism of the vice president. Let me be very clear. I endorse Kamala Harris. I am voting for Kamala Harris. It is not about being a Democrat or Republican. It is about right over wrong. I love the vice president as a human being. So I just want to be extremely clear. This is the only person in politics at that level who opened the door for me, for my Black-owned business, who showed up at our award show via video, who supported access to her. And again, I'll tell this story. I may have told it before. When I met her, I was so nervous, and I don't even get nervous meeting people, but it's like the vice president, like, are you supposed to bow, curtsy? I don't know what the hell you're supposed to do. I had just said the queen was dead. Well, you remember that. I'm meeting another head of state or the assistant head of state, whatever. And I went to hug her because she told me I could hug her, and I spilled my coffee all over the table. I told you the story. And she cleaned it up, or what we, and she just showed me like she's a real person. And I believe in her. And so, but I also believe in being accountable and holding people accountable. So my criticism of her team isn't, I hope in any way, an unbelievable idea that I would endorse this, because I don't endorse hate mongers or people who are divisionists or negative or racist. And I do believe, even though I'm trying to get the Trump interview, I'm probably not going to get it now. He is one. He can come here and make me feel some other way, but I do. But I was criticizing the vice president for not coming into this show or the Breakfast Club or anywhere where the culture exists and sitting down and having a conversation, because the culture deserved to have that. Well, I don't got that complaint anymore either, because she sat down with my friend Charlemagne. And I talked to Charlemagne last week, and he told me this was going to happen. And I have to say to the vice president, thank you. Because we just wanted you to pull up to our platforms like you do everywhere else. And I will say, another unfair bias is that she going everywhere. He ain't nowhere. That in itself, she's not going everywhere because she necessarily feels like she needs to. She going everywhere to show you that she gonna answer whatever question you put in front of her. And I love how she's doing it with so much class and grace and poise and just intelligence. Well, she sat down with my friend Charlemagne and reminded the community who actually issued those COVID stimmies. Now, a lot of you out there that I know said, oh, I'm going to vote for her because she gave me the stimmy. Dummy, listen.
On several occasions recently, Don Lemon has stated that there's a large group of Black men who believe Donald Trump sent them a personal check during COVID because his name was on it versus it coming from the government as a stimulus check. Can you provide some clarification on this?
Speak to the stimmy. I'm so glad you raised that. Mm-hmm. So here's what happened. A majority Democratic Congress fought to get those stimulus checks out, fought against resistance by the Trump administration, and won because we had a majority of Democrats in Congress. And that's why those checks went out. As we all know and grew up learning, Congress holds the purse strings. It was Congress that made that decision. And then Donald Trump, never being one to pass up an opportunity to give himself credit when no credit is due, put his name on those checks. And sadly, it resulted in people thinking Donald Trump was responsible for and directly responsible for putting money in their pocket, when in fact, it was a Democratic majority Congress that was responsible for those checks going out.
So now that she said it, y'all gonna believe it now? I mean, the sad part is that she is defending rumors. Like Charlemagne said, I thought was brilliant. Charlemagne did a phenomenal job on the interview. You know, he could have asked her a bunch of questions. I love the fact that he hit her with every rumor because, as he said, you're in a campaign against the truth. Like, the truth is what it is. But because she is a Black woman, and sometimes in this country and around the world, through lenses of racism, we see nothing but color instead of seeing a qualified, overly qualified, intelligent woman who we would be lucky to have as a leader. When you saw just that one example of her addressing the rumor of Trump giving away the stimmy, what did you think?
I was glad that it was actually a conversation that we're having, because so many people are led by that misinformation. I remember when we were all sitting locked in our homes, like we talked about earlier, just locked at home because he fumbled the ball with dealing with the pandemic. I remember when they were fighting to get the stimulus checks out, and then they had to hold it up because he wanted to make sure his name was printed on the checks. And the Republican Party had been fighting to not give the money to the American people. It's crazy.
And I feel like this is especially important. I love how they're having citizens actually speak, and like you hear their voice and you hear their concern, because in this time of just Twitter headlines and TikTok headlines, you only see a clip, so it's easy to believe a rumor or like a false narrative. So period.
The future of you and your families literally is in the hands of a 40-minute, 60-minute clip. Like, for real, we got to do better. All I want, this comment is strictly for Black people and brown people. We got to do better. I'm not even going to talk to white folks who are watching right now because all of my fans who are non-Black, y'all gonna do what y'all gonna do. But to our people who grew up in situations like me that understand and relate to me, I pray that the one thing you do if you don't do anything, please do your research and then ask yourself, what type of world do I want to live in? If you're okay with your mother, sister, aunties, your daughters losing the right to control their bodies, then vote for Trump. If you believe that the police should be able to pull you out your car and kill you in the middle of the street, or your daughter, or your mom, or your dad with no accountability, then vote for Trump. If you believe that you can just grab any woman by their pussy, or and some of you men at Diddy House get grabbed by your penises,
Allegedly.
then vote for Trump. And if you believe as a person of color that the playing field shouldn't be leveled when you have more intelligence than people that don't look like you and not be given your opportunity, then vote for Trump, because DEI gone, everything related to fair and free elections gone, and this won't be America that we know. So I don't even want you to be like, oh, you're just trying to fear mongering. Nah, I'm telling you straight up right now, take that vape out your mouth. Take that YSL gang rap out your ears. Pull your pants up and please pay attention that this is the one moment in time that you better exercise that right that everybody fought for. You know, I wouldn't have ran for office, people, if I felt like the world wasn't crumbling around us. I just went to where I know I can have the most impact right now. And it's been a huge sacrifice that we've all endured as a team. But that's because my people around me understand that I want to make an impact. All of you get to make an impact. You don't have to run for office, but you could vote. Your vote is your run for office, because you're saying, I'm going to put the CEO in charge that I believe can do the best job. Now, is she going to be perfect? Hell no. Nah. They still going to have the same stale waffles and chicken during holidays. They still going to have a Henny and eggnog. They still going to have the same Marine band. I mean, she might bring BET back in and make it black. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be fun. But I mean, like, please don't let the politics. I mean, we wake up every day and go, how many more days we got left? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah.
Has this not been like the most toxic reality show in the world?
Yes, I'm so ready for it to be over.
And my God, he said that if he loses, he ain't coming back. Then again, we saw STDs don't always keep his promise either. Goodbye.